Hello and welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, the ultimate show for romance book lovers looking for the best books worth reading. I'm your host, Leslie Murphy, and in each short episode, I share my favorite book list of recommendations so you know exactly what to add to your must-read list. Join me as I explore the romance genre and have fun collecting book boyfriends along the way, because life is better with a love story. Hey readers, welcome back to the She Reads Romance Books podcast. It is honestly a bit hard to believe that I am talking about my most anticipated new romance book releases for December 2024. I mean, how are we already at the end of the year? But here we are, and that means that we have 2 more months of the She Reads Romance Book Reading Challenge for 2024 before I kick off my 6th annual challenge in 2025. I can't believe it. We're going to be 6 years strong in that challenge. But for November, the challenge is to read one young adult romance or to reread a favorite romance book. And then December's challenge is going to be to read a holiday romance or a recommendation you see on social media or on my blog if you so choose. So lots of fun things to wrap up this year's challenge. And because it's almost the end of the year and we are into the holiday season, it's a great time to consider how you're going to track all of the books that you read in 2025. My recommendation is the Romance Book Reading Journal, which I created exclusively for romance book readers. In it, you can capture everything about the romance books that you read, including your favorite book boyfriends, your favorite series, your favorite books by romance book trope. So much to capture in this reading journal. Plus, the journal helps you keep it all in one place so it's easy just to pick up and reference back to for something or to reflect back on all of the books that you read in a given year. I absolutely love it. You can check it out on shereadsromancebooks.com, or it's definitely available on Amazon. I will include a link to it in the show notes as well, so it's easy for you to go and grab an order today. And one last thing before I talk about my most anticipated books releasing this December. If you're looking for a page-turning love triangle with sizzling chemistry, in Platinum Promises, Kit finds herself caught between Sully, a rock star headlining sold-out arenas, and Dom, Sully's fiercest rival, whose allure is impossible to resist. As temptation mounts, so does the passion and the drama. Who will win Kit's heart? Don't miss Platinum Promises by Jessa Nevins, available now on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. Okay, so December, it is a big holiday month, so there are quite a few new romance book releases, but less than, I'd say, other months. But of all of those releasing in December, there are 7 that I'm most excited to read, starting with Under Lock and Key by Lana Ferguson. This is what I'm calling her monster romance, and it's releasing on December 3rd, and here is what it's about. Kiana, or Key McKay, is used to secrets. Raised by a single father who never divulged his past, it's only after his death that she finds herself thrust into the world he'd always refused to speak of. With just a childhood bedtime story about a monster that saved her father's life in the name of her estranged grandmother to go off of, Key has no idea what she'll find in Scotland, but repeating her father's mistakes and being rescued by a gorgeous, angry Scotsman who thinks she's an idiot is definitely the last thing she expects. Lachlan Greer has his own secrets to keep, especially from the bonny lass he pulls to safety from the slippery shore. A lass with captivating eyes and the last name he's been taught not to trust. He's looking for answers as well, and Key's presence on the grounds they both now occupy presents a real problem. It's even more troublesome when he gets a front row seat to the lukewarm welcome Key receives from her family. The strange power she begins to develop and the fierce determination she brings to every obstacle in her past. Things he shouldn't care about and someone he definitely doesn't find wildly attractive. When their secrets collide, it becomes clear that Lachlan could hold the answers to Kiana that she's after, and that she might also be the key to uncovering his. Up against time, mystery, and a centuries old curse, they'll quickly discover that magic might not only be in fairy tales and that love can be a real lock mess. That's pretty cute. So, I've already read this book and can say that it was so much fun to read, even if sort of like monster romance isn't your thing. But if a hot Scotsman with a dirty talking brogue is, then trust me when I say that you are going to want to read this book. I loved how Lana put her own twist on this sort of paranormal romance, considering the idea, what if the Loch Ness Monster was really a man cursed to turn into a dinosaur like monster from sundown to sunup? And what would happen if the lass he's wary of finds out about the curse and maybe gets a bit turned on when he turns? There's a lot more to the story, too, with, as the blurb said, about her not getting the best reception to her family and then these powers that she starts to develop. It was really cool story. If you liked The Fake Mate by Lana, then I really think that you'll like Lock and Key as well. I would definitely check this one out this December. All right, the next book I'm excited to release is Keep Me by Sarah Kate. This is a marriage of convenience story that kicks off a brand new series for her, and it also releases December 3rd. Here is what it's about. All Killian Barkley wants is to be left the hell alone. He's had enough heartache to last a lifetime, and he has no more need for love, earning him the reputation of a broody Scot and eventually turning his famous ancestral home into a den of iniquity. It doesn't take long for tales of his raunchy house parties to reach the rest of his family, though, inspiring them to hatch a plan to shake Killian out of his routine. New Yorker Sylvie Devereaux is tough as nails. As the daughter of famous yet neglectful parents, she's grown a hard shell and keeps everyone at arm's length. So when she sneaks into Berkeley Manor during a trip to Scotland to get a glimpse of a famous heirloom, she doesn't anticipate facing off against the brutish, maddening Highlander who lives there. And she certainly didn't expect to ever see the bastard again. Yet, just weeks later, she's approached by Killian's family with a proposal. Move to Scotland and marry Killian to improve his Playboy reputation, and after 1 year, she'll walk away with $10 million. Sylvie agrees, even knowing that their plan is more deceptive than he realizes. But as she grows closer to Killian and the end of their year together, she has to decide. Is the love of a good man with a dark soul worth keeping, or is she willing to break Killian's heart now that it's well and truly hers? Okay, so we are now 2 for 2 with Hot Scotsman gracing the romance book pages for December, and I am all for it. In this one, however, Killian is not cursed, but he is struggling with grief and a heavy burden that has kept him from leaving his Scottish manor for 6 years. And he's going to be forced out of the manor by his family if he stays married to his arranged wife, only he doesn't know it yet. And who would blame Sylvie for agreeing to the marriage considering she's broke, doesn't have anyone who loves her or supports her, and she's offered freaking $10 million to marry the guy, right? So I think if you like Sarah Kate's writing, love Scottish heroes like I do, feisty heroines, then you might want to consider Keep Me coming out this December. Okay. Next book on my list of most anticipated new romance books releasing in December is The Mistletoe Mix-Up by Cody Hall. This is a new holiday romance also releasing on December 3rd, and here is what it's about. Sam Griffin's nephew meant well when he brought his uncle to the attention of a relationship advice radio show in Mistletoe, Idaho. But now Sam is getting publicly roasted for his love life. Faced with the harsh reality of his dating history, he wants to be known as more than the guy who bounces from bed to bed. And if that means falling in love and settling down, all the better. Back home, after a long stint in the big city, police officer Wren Little is pulling double duty protecting the community and her own heart. With 2 decades behind her, she knows she dodged a bullet when she chose not to run off with Sam when they were teenagers. But it's proving difficult to avoid being confronted by her infamous ex everywhere from the airwaves to the local watering hole, and he's just as hot as ever. As Christmas quickly approaches, Sam and Wren decide to let bygones be bygones in the spirit of the season. But with unresolved feelings, secrets, and passions simmering just below the surface, all it'll take is a little holiday cheer to reignite a romance that was never really extinguished. This totally gave me, what is it, Sleeping in in Seattle vibes, reading this book summary, which, I mean, gosh, who doesn't love that movie with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan? It's like a classic. But this is book 3 in Hall's Falling in Mistletoe series. And all 3 are available in Kindle Unlimited. So, you know how much I love taking advantage of Kindle Unlimited. So I am excited to binge read all of them this month if I can. I love that it's a bit of a second chance romance for 2 people who had once fallen in love with each other as teenagers and are now able to finally face their connection again decades later, even if it was spurred on by a relationship radio show. This sounds super cute, and I love that the heroine is a police officer. So I'm anxious to see how Sam gets roasted for his dating past and sort of more on his whole radio show experience. So I will be checking out the Mistletoe Mix Up this December. Okay, next on my list for December 2024 romance book reads is How to Get a Life in 10 Dates by Jenny L. Howell. This is a friends to lovers romance, and here is what it's about. Dating as a plus-size woman has been exhausting for Haley Berkshire. Sure, she's only 25, but she's been doing it for a decade, and she's beginning to think it's time for a sabbatical. It doesn't help that she's been madly in love with her best friend Jack for years, but one disastrous weekend in college taught her the hard way that they'll never be more than friends. With her sister's engagement celebration fast approaching and her friends and family nagging her about a +1, Haley and Jack do what they do best, scheme. Haley agrees to let her friends and family set her up with 10 people, and she's sure that once none of them prove to be good matches, her loved ones will finally let her fade into romantic retirement in peace. To her surprise, some of Haley's dates go better than expected, and for the first time in forever, she's actually having fun. Until Jack starts breaking all the rules they'd made to mend their friendship in college. He produces a laundry list of flaws for everyone she likes, crashes some of her nights out, and finally shocks her by throwing himself into the mix. Dating Jack has always been the dream, but Haley is afraid of the reality. Is it worth risking her best friend for something that may have never been meant to be? So I got to talk with Jenny about this book recently. So definitely stay tuned for this podcast interview that's going to release in December, close to the release date of this book. So you can hear more about how the idea of this book came to be, why it's important to Jenny to write body positive and sex positive books, and what she loves best about these characters. I had such a fun time chatting with her. But you know that Haley is just going to go on some really cringeworthy dates, even if her family and friends are setting her up. So definitely excited to check those out. I'm also curious to know why she and Jack aren't a thing already, right? And why it took this idea of setting her up to get him to finally put himself back into the ring. So if you love Friends to Lovers romance books, then you'll want to check out this book next month. Another book that caught my eye for December 2024 is by an author I have not read before, and actually nobody has because this is her debut novel, and that is Not in My Book by Katie Holt. It is a Rivals to Lovers romance releasing on December 10th, and here is what it's about. So Rosie writes romance novels and listens to Taylor Swift on loop. Aiden is a literary fiction writer who doesn't believe in happy endings. They're about to write a book together. What could go wrong? So Rosie is an idealistic and passionate Peruvian American, leaves her Tennessee hometown to pursue her dream of making it in New York as a writer. But her plan is derailed when she ends up in class with her arch nemesis and ex-crush Aiden Huntington, an obnoxious, surly, and gorgeous literary fiction writer who doesn't have much patience for the romance genre or for Rosie. Rosie and Aiden regularly go to verbal battle and workshop until their professor reaches her breaking point. She allows them to stay in her class on one condition. They must co-write a novel that blends their genres. The reluctant writing duo can't help but put pieces of themselves into their accidentally steamy novel, and their manuscript in progress provides an outlet for them to confess their feelings and explore their attraction toward each other. When Rosie and Aiden find themselves competing against each other for a potentially career-changing opportunity, the flames of old rivalry reignite, and their once-in-a-lifetime love story is once again at risk of being shelved, unless they can find a way to end the book on their own terms. I mean, I just love this storyline of this book. It sounds super cute, and I love how the hero and heroine are rivals and opposites and yet have to write a story together. And the fact that their feelings for one another make it onto the page, I think that's just genius. And again, super cute idea. I cannot wait to read this and really hope that it meets my expectations. It's being pitched as the hating game meets beach read and as a sexy, hilarious enemies to lovers romance. So that alone definitely sounds like something I would totally gobble up. So I am excited to read it next month, this December. Okay, we've got, let's see, two more books to discuss. The next one being Formula Fling by Sawyer Bennett. This is a new sports romance releasing December 10th, and here is what it's about. Posey Evans is looking to take her career as a romance author to the next level, shifting from historical love stories to writing about the high-stakes world of formula racing. Wanting to immerse herself in the sport, Posey manages to secure full access to the Crown Velocity racing team by faking credentials as a journalist. When she's granted unlimited face-to-face time with one of the team's best drivers, Posey is equal parts elated and terrified because while she's getting exactly what she wants, she can't afford to have her secret exposed. Lex Hamilton lives for the thrill of being one of the fastest and most decorated race car drivers in the sport. When he's behind the wheel, he's focused on one thing and one thing only, earning top spot on the podium. But off the track, let's just say his extracurricular activities have put him on a very short leash with the team management at Crown Velocity. He's cocky, handsome, dripping with swagger, and not super happy to have what he considers a babysitter following his every move. Lex's unwillingness to help doesn't deter Posey, but when he uncovers her secret, they strike a deal. He won't reveal her truth if she helps him stay out of trouble and keep his job. While many women would swoon at his feet, Posey isn't interested in anything more than Lex's racing knowledge. Mostly. As the season inches closer and passions ignite, time at the track leads to time in the bed. Having agreed that there is an expiration date on their arrangement, what started as an assignment has the potential to go the distance as their physical relationship builds into something deeper. But when her secret is revealed, will Lex and Posey's relationship hit a wall, or will this fling find its way to the checkered flag? I tell you, whoever writes these book summaries is like really good at their job. Super, super cute. I don't think, though, that I have read a Sawyer Bennett book since I devoured, gosh, I think her Wicked Horse and Wicked Horse Vegas series. So it is high time to get back into her work. And I love that she's diving into Formula One racing. She has already shown that she can really write sports romance, as I loved her first hockey series that she wrote. I actually haven't checked out her Pittsburgh-based hockey team series, but as I said, she can definitely write sports romance, and Formula One is something I've only read once before, and I really enjoyed it, just learning more about the sport and, of course, the hockey drivers. So this one is definitely on my TBR list. I'm hoping Lex is a hero that's easy to love, even though he's a complete player. And I love how Posey is all about the racing at first. So let's find out how he gets her in his bed and if he can keep her there this December. And finally, the last book I'm anxious to check out in December 2024 is the latest in Alexis Hall's Something Fabulous series. This one is called Something Extraordinary, and it is another queer historical romance that is going to release on December 17th. And here is what it's about. Sir Horley Cumwithers isn't particularly interested in getting married, especially when his match is a perfectly respectable young woman. Sir Horley is, after all, extravagantly gay, but he's resigned to a fate there's no point resisting until a dear friend does it for him. Arabella Tarleton has no interest in romance, but even she can see that Sir Horley's nuptials are destined to end in a lifetime of misery. Well, not on her watch. And what are friends for if not abducting you on the night before your wedding in an overdramatic attempt to save you from a terrible mistake? Their journey to Gretna Green is a hodgepodge of colorful run ins and near misses with questionable innkeepers, amateur highwaymen, over attentive writers, and scorned fiancés. Then again, a bumpy road is better than an unhappy destination. But when it comes to marriage, Belle and Sir Horley are about to discover that it's not what you do or how you do it, but the people who you choose to do it with that matter most. So if you haven't read something fabulous, I highly recommend that you do because you first meet Arabella Tarleton in that book, and now we are finally getting her story in this new romance, Something Extraordinary. I, as I said, devoured the first book in the series. Didn't really care for the second book in the series, but I have really high hopes for this one. Since it involves Arabella, I'm not going to be surprised if it starts with, or I'm not surprised that it starts with an abduction and running away from a wedding because that's just her. And I'm sure it will have all the hilarity and ridiculousness that I loved in Something Fabulous. So here is hoping that Alexis Hall's latest new romance releasing this December is extraordinary. Okay, gosh, and that completes my list of most anticipated new romance books releasing in December 2024. To finally wrap things up, I want to let you know that I have a new book quiz up on shereadsromancebooks.com. It is a quiz to help you identify your favorite holiday book boyfriend. It was really a lot of fun to put together, and I think you'll get a kick out of the questions that will help you suss out what type of book boyfriend you like to star in your holiday romance books. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com and you'll see a link to the quiz at the very top, or you can click the link in the show notes for this episode. It's not going to be up long. It's only for the holidays, so make sure that you check it out and take the quiz before it goes away. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. And of course, until next time, happy reading because life is better with a love story. That's all for this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found some new books to add to your TBR list. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really helps me reach more romance book lovers like you, and I appreciate your support. If you're a book boyfriend collector like me, then you'll want to join my email list so you never miss a podcast episode or a new book list. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com/join and sign up today. As a thank you, I'll instantly send you my list of top 10 book boyfriends that will make you swoon. Trust me, you don't want to miss this list. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.